Hey everyone, Carly here. It's a Gentlebeard lemonade stand meet cute for this week's appetizer. Pilot Pirate has sent in her podfic narration of anathxmadevice's When Life Gives You Lemons, a short 6,600 word fic. It's an explicit fic that's described by fans as absolutely lovely and hot. Ed Teach, new to the town of Revenge, stops by the local lemonade stand across the street from his house every Friday. It's definitely because he loves Alma's lemonade and definitely not because he's got a crush on her absurdly hot dad. Let's have a listen.
When Life Gives You Lemons by anathxmadevice, checkmate. And that's spelled anathxmadevice, and then in parentheses, checkmate. This is an explicit fic, and if you'd like details, you can check out the archive for the tags. There are no archive warnings. And now, When Life Gives You Lemons. Ed's not used to the suburbs yet. Compared to the city, it's so slow, quiet. There are trees that grow from the actual ground instead of pushing through cracked concrete like something out of Alien. He can hear birds all the goddamn time, waking him up in the morning and singing him to sleep at night. He sees more butterflies on one walk through the park here than he has on 20, 50, 100 walks through parks in the city. He sees bees. So many fucking bees. Like somewhere a conservationist is shitting themselves over how many fucking bees there are flitting in and out of the lavender bush that covers half of Ed's front yard in a lazy, perfumed sprawl. It's a fancy neighborhood. Kind of neighborhood he never would have believed he could live in if you'd asked him as a kid. But, well, he fell into coding at the right time and was good enough at it to make a lot of money, until it all became meetings and strategies for growth and reports for the directors, and he had become bored out of his fucking mind. So he let his therapist talk him into prioritizing his mental health, and now he's retired at 48, something dangerously close to wealthy, bought a house on a whim, only because it's in a town called Revenge, which had sounded too ridiculous to pass up. He's only unpacked 4 moving boxes and 1 suitcase. Hasn't been to the good grocery store in the next town over yet, so he's living on ramen noodles and takeout. But the gate that separates his new front yard from the sidewalk is painted a deep forest green, and he never thought he'd live in a place with a gate or a front yard, and sure, he's only been here 6 days, but maybe there's something to be said for it. Ed walks a circuit around the neighborhood and arrives back at his house 1 hour and 7 minutes later. It's nice. He does it again the next day, and the next, and by Friday he's kind of bored of the walk, but does it anyway, just so he can say he's got dressed and left the house today if Izzy calls and asks. He debates doing a second loop just to mix things up because the sun is warm and the air is clean and because it's barely noon and he's got shit all else to do. That promise of free time in retirement, he realizes, is only exciting if you've got something to fill it with, and 30 years of nonstop work have left him pretty lacking in hobbies. Hey, mister! There's a girl across the street, maybe 8 or 10 or 12. Ed doesn't know how he's meant to tell the difference. She's a fucking kid anyway, old enough to use the bathroom independently, not old enough to drive. Would you like to buy some lemonade? It's only $1 for a small cup or $1.50 for a big one. Ed looks again and, yeah, sure enough, the girl across the street is manning a lemonade stand. A trestle table covered with a red gingham tablecloth that looks like something straight out of the Great British Bake Off, a stack of paper cups, and a huge vat of lemonade. He rummages in his pockets, finds a crumpled $5 bill, remembers when the going rate for a cup of lemonade was 25 cents, curses inflation and monetary policy in Wall Street, and darts across the road. You're new here, aren't you? I saw you moving in. the girl says with a certain ferocious authority. She has the kind of hard glare that pins Ed to the spot, makes him feel like he's under police interrogation, rather than participating in a pseudo-business transaction to teach elementary school kids how to be entrepreneurs. Yeah, mate. Moved in last week. Do you like it? Ed ponders the question more existentially than she probably intended. Yeah, it's nice. Lived in New York before. It's quieter here. Mom and Doug live in New York, she tells him, like he's meant to know who Doug is. But I like it better here, too. Hey, Alma, what did we say about talking to strangers? The voice comes from somewhere in the garden, and Ed takes a large step back, stumbles on an uneven paving slab, rolls his ankle, and goes over flat on his backside. Flip! He winces, managing to stop himself swearing just before the word lands in the air between him, the girl, Alma apparently, and, oh, fuck. He has to be her father. They have the same big hazel eyes, the same curly blonde hair. He's around Ed's age, dressed in a cream linen shirt and the daddiest of dad shorts Ed has ever seen. They are denim, a light blue wash with just a hint of fade, hitting mid-thigh and gripping his muscles like they were made for him. Bespoke. The man is showing off an ungodly amount of leg, a dusting of light hair that Ed wants to run his hands over, calves so taut and perfectly curved like someone turned them with a lathe, and it draws Ed's eyes down right to the ground where he finds fucking boat shoes. It shouldn't be hot. It's so fucking dorky. The only way he could be dorkier is if he had been wearing sandals with socks. Everything about this man is corny as hell, and yet Ed's mouth is dry, and the only thoughts spinning through his head are decidedly inappropriate in the presence of the guy's presumably daughter. He tears his eyes back up, away from the danger of legs and aiming for the relative safety of face, but gets distracted on the way by the 3 buttons undone at the neck of the cream linen shirt. 3. And in the space not quite covered by the draping fabric, another hint of that fluffy golden hair coating his chest, the curve of tits hidden tantalizingly just out of view. Ed wants to bury his face in his chest and inhale until his lungs are full, until microscopic particles of him settle in Ed's alveoli. Oh, goodness, sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. Are you okay? The man says, sounding genuinely concerned, even as he puts himself protectively between Ed and Alma. He extends a hand, and Ed lets himself be hauled to his feet, the man providing a counterweight as Ed gingerly tests his ankle, checking for any serious damage. The man is strong, and Ed really doesn't need to know this. He doesn't need to know how his biceps bulge under his sleeves, or about the pattern of freckles scattered all the way from wrist up to where the sleeve of his shirt cuts them off. Yeah, I'm fine, Ed says, really trying hard to keep his thoughts in check. God, sorry, I didn't mean to. I came over to buy some lemonade and we just got talking, and I'm Ed Teach. He holds his hand out for the guy to shake, and when he does, Ed is surprised the contact doesn't come with some kind of electric shock attached for good measure. I moved in across the street last week. Oh, of course, it's nice to meet you, Ed. I'm Steed Bonnet. Ed was going to buy some lemonade, Alma says authoritatively, and even if he hadn't been, he sure as fuck is now. He'd be scared of what Alma might do to him if he doesn't, for one, but mostly he has no intention of embarrassing himself in front of Steed any more than he already has. Ah, sorry, sweetheart. I didn't mean to get in the way of a negotiation. Would you like a big cup or a small cup, Mr. Ed? Alma says politely, holding up 2 sizes. Ed points to the large cup, hands over $5, and tells her to keep the change, and Steed beams. Ed would hand over $10, $20, $50 to keep that look on his face. Now, what do we say, Alma? Steed coaches. Thank you, Mr. Ed. I hope you enjoy your lemonade. It's fucking delicious. He tells Alma as much without the swearing, and she excitedly tells him it's her step-grandma's recipe. He's bad at family trees, never could keep his second cousins and cousins twice removed straight, so he's not sure exactly who her step-grandma actually is, but he tells Alma that she's done her proud. And that earns him another beam from Steed. Gorgeous Steed. And Ed gets a feeling he might find himself drinking a few more glasses of Alma's lemonade this summer. When he crosses the road for the third Friday in a row, he finds that Alma has expanded her operation. She now has 2 containers of lemonade on her trestle table with little labels neatly stuck to the front of each one. And the marketing copy is, well, in the nicest possible way, Ed doubts that Alma has written it herself. Original, bright, zesty, and refreshing. A classic for all occasions. Pink, a fruity variation with a kiss of strawberry and infused with crushed black peppercorns. She also has an assistant of sorts, a boy some indeterminable number of years younger than her who looks less interested in lemonade than he is in digging through the dirt in the front yard. Dad, Lewis is playing with mud again. Ah, fuck. Steed Bonnet jump scare. Usually Ed has time to prepare himself, but Steed had been tucked away around the side of the house, hidden from view by a large blooming wisteria climbing up the trellis over the patio. He's wearing a rose-pink polo shirt today, subtly patterned with polka dots, and tan chino shorts that give him the vibe of an explorer, from the waist down only. There's plenty of things Ed wants to explore from the waist down, though he'd happily get his hands on the waist up, too. Ed, Steed sings. Ed loves and hates how happy Steed sounds to see him because he's man enough to admit he's got one hell of a thing for Steed Bonnet, but he also has just enough logical reasoning capability to take the input, father of 2, and extrapolates from that, most likely heterosexual, regardless of how goddamn camp the shorts are. Most likely. It's nice to see you again. Lewis, no, don't eat that. If you're hungry, I can get you a proper snack, bud. Much tastier than dirt, I promise. Steed gives him an apologetic look. Give me 2 seconds, would you? Ed chats to Alma about how the day's sales are going, and she tells him that everyone thinks the black pepper lemonade sounds weird and that this is the last time she lets Dad help her with recipe development. The way she says it makes Ed chuckle, something quite surreal about the phrase recipe development coming from the mouth of this clearly precocious, somewhere between 8 and 12-year-old. You're the boss, he reminds her. He's got to do what you tell him to do. Yeah, Dad, Ed says you have to do what I say because I'm the boss, Alma shouts through the open kitchen door. Maybe Ed shouldn't get involved in labor disputes, Steed calls back, or I'll have to get in touch with my union rep. Ed laughs. Alma pouts. Maybe because she doesn't understand the joke and Ed feels a little bad. Hey, I'll get a large pink lemonade, please, he says, handing over his $5. Are you sure? Alma wrinkles her nose and then drops to a stage whisper. If it's horrid, just tell me and I'll get you a normal one instead. She scrabbles in her money box to find him $3.50 in change, which he hands back to her immediately. As a tip, the service here today has been excellent. Steed reappears with Lewis, now clear of mud and with a popsicle in hand. Steed's got one for Alma, too, before she can claim favoritism. Ed got the pepper lemonade, Alma tells Steed. I told him I'll trade it for the normal one if he thinks it's disgusting. He sniffs it, experimentally, pulls a face as if it smells bad, which is totally fake because it just smells like lemonade, but it makes Alma laugh, which makes Steed smile, so it's totally worth it. Steed's face crinkles up when he smiles, all soft wrinkles and laugh lines. It's a good face, well worn, well cared for. The sort of face that a man might take a while to grow into, but only improves with time. A patina on fine leather. Oh, Ed says, swallowing his first mouthful and not holding back the hum of appreciation. Oh, that's... wow. See, Dad, no one wants pepper in their lemonade. Nah, Alma, it's great, he promises. Really good, very satisfied customer here. 5 stars. It's the sort of thing Ed might order at a fancy cocktail bar in the city, shaken over ice with a healthy measure of top-shelf vodka. Spicy, floral, sour. It's complex. What it is, he thinks, is absolutely fucking ridiculous for a lemonade stand in the suburbs run by Steed's kid daughter. Black pepper, strawberry lemonade? What the hell were you on when you dreamt that one up, he says when Alma is distracted by her next customer. I don't know, Steed says, flushing a little. I'll promise Alma not to make it again. Clearly this is not the audience for avant-garde flavors. You're a lunatic, mate, Ed says irreverently. I fucking love it. Really? Oh, fuck yeah. Any other weird lemonade recipes you want to try out? I'm your guy. He stumbles downstairs, cursing whoever is ringing his doorbell at this time in the morning on a Sunday, yanks open the door and... oh, it's Steed. And Ed's wearing old pajama bottoms, worn thin and frayed at the hem, and nothing else, and he feels a desperate need to cover up his bare chest until he feels Steed's eyes rake down him, catching on the hawk tattoo just underneath his clavicle, and oh, that's interesting. That little blush on his cheeks, and the way he doesn't avert his eyes. Most likely heterosexual turns into potential homosexual inclinations. Possibly a bit curious at the very least. Can I help you? Ed says, realizing they've been kind of standing there staring at each other for long enough that it's weird. Steed blinks out of his very objectifying reverie that Ed is very okay with, holds out a large plastic bottle with a screw-top lid, gotta be 2 quarts at least, and hands it to Ed. The liquid inside is translucent and the palest green, almost sage. Lemonade, spiked with rosemary, he explains. The color is a little unfortunate, but it tastes good. I think it tastes good anyway. Alma thinks it tastes like grass, but I thought you might appreciate it. Ed looks at the bottle in his hand, back at Steed, remembers he's shirtless, remembers he's in his pajamas, and apparently it's nearly noon, so that's embarrassing, because functional adults don't sleep in until noon on the weekends. Steed's probably already got up and gone to the farmer's market, foraged some fresh rosemary, spiked his homemade lemonade, brought it around to share with Ed. Is Alma going to kill me if I don't pay for this? Gotta be at least $20 worth of lemonade here. Well, actually, I made this for you especially, Steed says, the tips of his ears turning a little pink. I can't promise it's up to Alma's exemplary lemonade standards, but the kids stay with their mom on the weekends, and I wouldn't want to deprive you of your lemonade fix in Alma's absence. Steed's eyes flick to his tattoos again, or maybe not. Maybe he's just looking at Ed's chest, the canvas, not the artwork, and then looks back at Ed's face. "Anyway, I won't tell her if you don't," Steed says, looking up at him with a coy little smile, like he knows exactly what he's doing with his dad shorts and his fucking teal and silver Hawaiian shirt hanging open over a dangerously tight-fitting V-neck white t-shirt, crisp and unwrinkled and stretched over his chest. And oh God, the lemonade dilf is flirting with him. This isn't happening. This isn't happening. It can be our little secret. He's aiming for smooth, suave, hoping to whoever's fucking listening that it's obvious that he's flirting back because he's forgotten how to do this in real life. Hasn't had to in years, all apps and quick hookups, but he's practically feral for the warm flush of pink across Steed's creamy skin. He wants to suck lemon juice and sugar off Steed's fingers. He wants to drink rosemary spiked lemonade directly out of Steed Bonnet's mouth. He thinks about inviting Steed in, despite the fact he's shirtless and that his house is an embarrassing mess of cardboard boxes and crumpled balls of ripped-off packing tape and clutter everywhere, and that he's not brushed his teeth or his hair yet this morning, but in the time it takes him to figure out how to shape the invitation into a proper sentence, Steed is already leaving. "Well, I hope you enjoy it more than Alma did, at least. See you around, Ed." And he does this cute little wave and scrunches his nose when he smiles, and Ed hates to see him go, but oh fuck does he like to watch him leave. The next week, it's matcha green tea lemonade, and the week after, rhubarb and rose. Steed tips him off that the rhubarb and rose is fantastic with gin. Ed would usually scoff at gin and lemonade, but Steed's lemonades are so deliciously sour, not the sticky sweetness of commercial stuff, and he lets out a noise after that first sip that he's glad no one had been around to hear. Every time he tries to ask Steed to stay, share a glass with him, and every time Steed manages to be halfway down the garden path before Ed can get the words out. And it's weird. Usually Ed would take that as a hint that the guy is just being friendly, or has a generous streak a mile wide, or maybe a sociopathic need for positive reinforcement about his weird lemonade flavors. But when he goes to get his regular fix from Alma on Friday afternoons, Steed spends the whole time looking at him like he wants to rip the shirt right off Ed's back. So he's determined to do something about it. Got a whole plan for when Steed comes around with a new flavor. Gonna grab him by the fancy shirt and yank him over the threshold, fuck the lemonade, bundle him against the wall or onto the sofa or something, and find out what Steed's mouth tastes like. The plan goes out the window when his doorbell rings at 7:30 on Friday evening. Ed's in sweatpants and a t-shirt stained with splodges of the tomato soup he spilled on himself earlier, so of course it's Steed. "Hi, Ed. I was hoping for a favor." Ed doesn't tell him that he can have literally whatever favor he wants. Reckons that might be coming on a bit strong. Oh, what can I do for you?" "The lavender in your front yard," Steed says, helpfully pointing over his shoulder, in case Ed had missed it somehow. The lavender is his front yard at this point. He should probably hire a gardener to deal with it, he thinks. Some other time when Steed Bonnet isn't on his doorstep looking dangerously edible. "Would you mind if I took a few sprigs for my new recipe?" Yeah, of course. Yeah, mate, help yourself." His mouth moves before his brain catches up. "Wait, Lavender? Steed, how do you come up with this shit? And then Ed watches as Steed's face twists into something dejected, draws into himself. And Ed's heart breaks a little because really, does Steed really not know that he's completely, entirely obsessed with this maniac and his fucked up lemonade flavors that never seem to fail? He backpedals quickly, grabs Steed's hand in his. His palms are slightly sweaty from the evening humidity, hands soft and smooth and untroubled by too much manual labor, and Ed's fingers catch on a couple of chunky rings beset with large gemstones. Ed wants to stroke them, run his fingers up and over every ring, every knuckle, every sinew and vein and ligament. That was meant in a good way, man. You know how hard it is to find someone doing something original in fucking lemonade? You're incredible. Ed is feeling bold, like maybe he should accelerate his plan by a day or so because Steed hasn't freaked out about the hand-holding thing and Ed's never been good at waiting anyway. Will you show me how you make it? It only takes 15 minutes for Ed to change into a less terrible outfit, fix his hair, put on a little cologne, and generally make himself more presentable before he crosses the street, knocking on Steed's front door. It's obvious that in usual conditions, this house is pristine, but it shows significant signs of children living there in the scattering of toys and single shoes and coloring pencils and hair ties and empty drinking glasses dotted on every surface. The rooms themselves are carefully decorated with a flair that fits with everything Ed knows about Steed, all wood panels and soft furnishings, ornately embroidered textiles, and warm, low lighting, rich hues of ochre and magenta and teal. He follows Steed to the kitchen, the heart of the lemonade operation, and Ed laughs and laughs when he sees the literal bucket of lemons on the countertop, next to a 5-pound bag of white sugar and the bunch of fresh lavender he snipped from the bush on his way back from Ed's place. Steed is in his element, weighing out sugar on a set of old-fashioned balance scales. It's just far more charming than cups or electric scales. Scattering over the lavender buds, carefully pulled from their stems, and topping up the burnished copper pan with a splash of water. He stirs gently as the sugar melts, the motion causing his biceps to flex just enough under his shirt sleeves that Ed can't stop looking, and the kitchen fills with an aromatic, floral scent. It's only a minute or so later that Steed removes the saucepan from the stove, sets it on a little wooden stand to cool down, and claps his hands. Lavender syrup done. Really? That's it? Ed had expected a bit more theater, a bit more fuss, but that's it. Just a lot of sugar, a little water, and the flowers? Well, it needs to steep for a while to really bring the flavors out. We can get going with the lemons while we wait, though. He follows Steed's direction and halves lemons as the syrup cools, Steed processing them through some industrial-strength juicer, collecting the empty shells and popping them into a bowl to compost later. More than once, Steed burns himself on the too hot syrup, trying to taste it before it's sufficiently cooled down. He scoops a little up on a teaspoon, runs his finger through the puddle he's collected, and lifts it to his mouth, sucking off the syrup, catching every drop with a flick of his tongue, peeking pink between his lips. Ed has to put the knife down, his attention very much elsewhere. That's so good, Steed hums, chasing more syrup off the spoon and onto his finger, sucking it down like he's trying to kill Ed, looking the picture of fucking innocence. Want to try? He asks, and Ed nods, not trusting himself with words, dunks the spoon into the saucepan, does not lick it off his fingers, but tips a little into his mouth, and oh, Good, right? Really fucking good, he agrees. You're a genius, Steed. A goddamn lemonade genius. So, that's why you wanted to come over, Steed says. After all my lemonade secrets? And he leans in, nudges Ed's arm with his, standing side by side as they lean against the kitchen counter. The air feels heavy. Ed's breathing fraught. And God, he doesn't remember the last time he wanted someone so badly. Not sure he's ever wanted someone so badly, in fact. Steed, Ed says, because if he doesn't do this now, there's a chance the night might slip away from him. The lemonade is, great and all. Love this lavender thing you've got working, but, well... He tips his head to one side, presses in a little closer, lets his hands find Steed's, sparks jumping the gap between them. That's not exactly why I wanted to come over. If he were a gambling man, Ed would have put $50 on it being physically impossible for Steed Bonnet's eyes to get any wider. Fortunately, he's not a gambling man, because he would be $50 worse off right now. Steed breathes. Really? I mean, I'd, hoped, didn't want to, assume. Steed. I don't know, maybe you did just really like lemonade. Doug's mom's recipe is absolutely delicious. Best lemonade I've ever had. All I do is tinker around the edges, so... Steed. Ed squeezes Steed's fingers, and he finally shuts up. He's close enough that he can feel Steed's breath on his cheek, hear the low whimper that escapes his pink, sugar-tinged lips. And Ed really wishes he hadn't changed into these jeans because there's really not a lot of room to play with, his cock already starting to strain at the zipper. I really want to kiss you, he says, testing the water, and Steed breathes out a soft, desperate, yeah. So he reckons he's cleared for takeoff. It's the most restrained, careful kiss of Ed's whole fucking life. Steed's mouth tastes like sugar and lemons and lavender, and Ed could live in it, the sweet and sourness of it, the sharp acid and the perfume. He knows it's the syrup, he knows that, but it works for Steed too, sweet and aromatic, soft but punchy, unexpected. Okay, he checks. Steed laughs. Look, I appreciate the gentlemanly approach, but honestly, I've been thinking about you for weeks and I'm not sure I can wait much longer. Oh, hell. Ed does not need to be told twice. He presses Steed back against the island, hands braced on the countertop on either side of him to box him in, and they kiss, bruising and desperate. Christ, Ed says, resting his forehead against Steed's, eyes pinched close. Jesus fucking Christ, Steed, fuck. Fuck is right. Steed's swearing is a joy to behold. Ed makes it his mission to keep Steed saying fuck over and over, dragging the word from him when his mind has otherwise gone blank from pleasure. I think upstairs, though, just thinking about food safety. Ed throws back his head and howls with laughter. It takes a few attempts to make it to Steed's bedroom because they both find it hard to keep their hands off each other long enough to manage steps. They battle with shirt buttons and tangled necklines. Finally, thankfully, discard Ed's jeans on the bedroom floor, collapse onto the bed. Ed settles on top of Steed, straddling his thighs, only underwear separating skin from skin. He runs his fingers through the thatch of hair covering Steed's chest, over the buds of his nipples, lingers there for a while to tease out the breathy gasps that Steed tries to hold back. Oh, fuck, man, He rolls a nipple between thumb and index finger, squeezes just a little to see how Steed reacts. He squirms with a biting, fuck, Ed, that he wants to bottle for his own personal consumption. Burn it onto a fucking CD. Make a mixtape that's just Steed saying his name like that. He kisses Steed again, chasing the last traces of sugar from his mouth, then works down Steed's neck, pausing below his collarbone to suck the tiniest bruise, where a shirt would hide it, but Steed would know. Ed Teach was here. "Can I suck your cock?" he asks. Straight to the point, that's him. Well, not straight, but direct. He knows what he wants, and right now it's to feel him hot and heavy on his tongue. Taste Steed, Steed, Steed in the back of his throat. And Steed lets out a stuttering, shaky gasp and nods, pants out a desperate, "Oh God, please." And he needs no more invitation to work his way down Steed's chest, pausing to tease a nipple between his teeth, soaking up the way Steed babbles through the pleasure and the hint of ache, rolling his hips in search of some friction. Ed uses one hand on Steed's hip bone to hold him down, not that Steed couldn't break free of his grip, but it's enough to make him relax into the bed. Let Ed take his time. "Gonna make you feel so good," Ed promises, gliding his mouth down Steed's sternum. "You're amazing, so fucking beautiful. God, fuck." He knows he's rambling, mouth 8 steps ahead of his brain as words spill desperate and choked into the air between them, but all his energy is focused on making Steed have an out-of-body experience when he comes, and if that means he's running his mouth, he can cope with that. "Ed, Steed tries, moans, then tries again. It's great. It's so good, but I really need you to touch me, like right now." Ed pulls back far enough to get a proper view of him, and it's gorgeous. His fists are clenched around crisp bed sheets, clinging on for dear life, and his cock is a thick line soaking a dark patch into the cotton of dark blue briefs. "Or I think my heart might actually fail, not in a poetic, metaphorical way. Think it might actually give up if you don't put your mouth or hand or something on my cock immediately." Oh, he's bossy. He's a bossy fucking bitch in bed. Ed doesn't see that coming, and he likes it. He digs his fingers under the waistband, Steed helping him along, lifting his hips off the mattress so Ed can pull the briefs free, shoving them down his legs. "Fucking hell, Steed," he chokes out, taking in the whole sight of him, his cock sitting a dark, flushed pink against his stomach, a bead of pre-cum glistening at the tip in the low bedroom light. Steed Bonnet is the most beautiful creature on this random fucking planet in this remote corner of the universe. And somehow he's the guy who lives in the house across the street from the place Ed bought on some pathetic, desperate whim to make his life less fucking boring. And that feels kind of like a sign, which is great, something for him to mull over in the morning. But right now, he's never wanted to put his mouth on a cock more in his life. The sound in Steed's throat dies with a rough, ragged edge when Ed takes him into his mouth, like a short circuit between cock and brain has taken out the communication center, and Ed lays his tongue flat, runs it along his length, settling against the weight of it, enjoying the way Steed squirms. He wants to map out every spot, wants to know this cock so intimately that he could take Steed apart and put him back together again with the merest flick of his tongue. He sinks around him slowly, letting Steed fill his mouth as he bobs his head a little further each time. Wraps his fingers in a ring in front of his lips, sliding his hand down in time with his mouth, helped by the slick of spit and pre-cum. Steed keeps trying to fuck into his mouth, nearly makes him gag with one poorly timed thrust that makes Ed pull his mouth away and tell Steed to stay fucking still. And Steed giggles, makes no promise, but he's better from then, letting Ed work himself further, take Steed deeper at his own pace. Steed's fingers find their way to his hair. He'd already thrown it into a bun when he arrived, one of Steed's food safety things, but he works his fingers in anyway, firm pressure on his scalp. Steed could direct him like a puppet on a string if he wanted to, and God, Ed wants him to hold him down until he chokes on Steed's cock, wants him to pull his hair until Ed's a writhing, panting mess. There are so many fucking things he wants to do with Steed Bonnet, to Steed Bonnet, and the hand in his hair is all the encouragement he needs to take Steed deep, willing his throat to relax enough to accept the intrusion without gagging. He manages it, nose buried in the soft hair at the base of his cock, works his throat, swallows, barely clocks the litany of praise being heaped on him as Steed babbles. God, Ed, you have no idea what you do to me. Wanted this since the minute I first saw you. Couldn't stop thinking about it. Oh, God, you're beautiful. You feel amazing. Yes, please do that again. And it all washes over Ed in a jumble of noise that tickles pleasantly in his brain, makes him want to give himself to this man, do anything to keep him saying things like that. Ed, I'm close. I'm so close. Please. Oh God, please. Yes. He moans Ed's name as he comes, and that, paired with the feeling of Steed pulsing in his mouth, is almost enough to make Ed lose it too. He swallows all he can, not caring about the spill of saliva and cum that drips down into his beard, focused only on soft, careful strokes of his tongue to clean Steed up as much as he can. And when he sits up, back groaning from the angle, jaw aching, cock so hard he could break something with it, all he can see is the strung out, meltingly soft look on Steed's face as his chest heaves, desperately searching for oxygen to refill his lungs. Fuck, Steed says, blinking up at him. Ed wipes a hand through his beard, damp and matted, and it comes away coated in a slick mixture of cum and spit that should be gross, but kinda isn't. He doesn't want to make a mess of Steed's nice sheets, though, so he grabs his t-shirt from the floor and uses that instead, and Steed laughs and tells him he's an idiot, that the sheets can handle it, and fuck it, it's worth it. Ed lays down beside him once the worst of the mess is gone from his face, but he's still pleasantly surprised when Steed rolls closer and kisses him deeply. Ed's never much liked how he tastes in someone else's mouth, but Steed has no such concerns and doesn't stop kissing as his hand reaches down to palm at Ed's achingly hard cock. Gotta get these off, Steed says, breaking the kiss to focus his efforts on Ed's underwear. Could think of something else you can get off, too. Steed giggles again, and it's fun. This is fun. He can't remember the last time sex had been fun, and Steed is such a dork and the hottest fucking thing he's ever seen, and it's one hell of a combination. What do you... God, Steed, just jerk me off, please. I'm not gonna last long. Steed grabs a bottle of Astroglide from the bedside table, squirts a little on his fingers to ease the way. The pressure is exquisite, perfectly balanced between tight and gentle. Ed allows himself to melt into it, not worry about the sounds he's making or the faces he pulls as Steed works him closer to the edge. You're so beautiful, Steed breathes, keeping his hand moving at that precise, devastating rhythm. Love those sounds you're making for me. Love hearing how much you want this, how good you're being for me. Oh, God. Ed's words come out strangled as he thrusts up into the tight, slick heat of Steed's hand once, twice, and his hips stutter as he comes hard over Steed's hand. He keeps stroking him through it, plays with his hair, presses kisses into the crick of his neck as Ed's breathing slows, pulls his hand away just as the sensation becomes too much. "Fuck," he whispers. "That was, quick. Sorry." Which isn't surprising, given he's been hard from the moment Steed sucked lavender syrup off his fingers. "Don't be. It's a compliment, really," Steed says brightly. He grabs Ed's t-shirt again and wipes his hand, before using it to clean the cum off of Ed's stomach, too. "Hey, fuck you, that's mine. No point ruining 2 shirts now, is there?" And with Steed looking at him like that, he really can't bring himself to care much about the shirt. They nap for an hour or so, until Steed panics that the lavender has been steeping far too long and vehemently disagrees with Ed's sleepy, lazy insistence that they should just stay in his bed forever, lavender syrup be damned. So they throw their clothes back on, Ed stealing one of Steed's fancy shirts to replace his irreparably stained one, and stagger down to the kitchen. "If the lemonade tastes like soap, I'm blaming you." "Me? How is this my fault?" "Because you invited yourself over under the pretense of lemonade making and then seduced me." "I didn't hear any complaints, mate." Steed strains out the lavender, adds the syrup to a jug with the lemon juice they squeezed earlier, then tops it up with soda water. Stirs it, watches the syrup swirl until it's all mixed in, grabs 2 glasses, fills them with ice, and pours a lemonade out for each of them. Ed takes a sip, and fuck, he'd tell Steed it was the best thing he'd ever tasted, even if it were disgusting, because the guy is a lunatic, and Ed might be a little bit in love with him, but it actually is delicious. Not soapy at all. Perfect amount of lavender, I'd say. "You know, you're right," Steed says. "God knows where we'd be if we hadn't let the syrup steep for," he checks his watch, "nearly 4 times longer than the recipe suggested." "Shitty lemonade is where we'd be," Ed adds, taking another sip, because his throat is feeling a little tender and the cool sweetness is doing wonders to soothe it. "Recipe is bullshit. Think we nailed it." "Right?" Steed reaches out and clinks their glasses together in a toast to something unspoken. "You know, Ed, I think we make quite a team." "Yeah, we fucking do." "Maybe we should do this again sometime?" Steed asks, looking pretty coy for a guy who just had his cock down Ed's throat. "Like, maybe next Friday night after the kids go to Mary's? Make some more of our lemonade?" Ed likes the way he says that, "our lemonade," even though all he did was slice some lemons in half. "By which you mean sex, right? Like, not that I don't like the lemonade, but yes, Ed, I mean sex." Then, fuck yes. The end. I hope you enjoyed that fic. If you did, please leave kudos and comments on the archive page of the author, and I also appreciate notes on the podfic page. Thank you for listening.
That was When Life Gives You Lemons by anathxmadevice, read by Pilot Pirate. If you enjoyed this work, definitely head to both their AO3s listed in the show notes and give them a comment and a kudos. And if you'd like to narrate anything for us, just find a fic you like, get the author's permission, then send the audio file to rflagmeansfanfiction@gmail.com. And if you enjoy memes and rflag related hilarity, follow us on Instagram at rflagmeansfanfiction, all one word. As always, do creations, be cringe, commit crime. Bye!